Thank you, Melanie, for joining us. I'm super excited to have you here. So Melanie is a graduate of my course, Purposeful Living, and she's also one of the career coaches on my team. And it's been a month since we have chatted, so I'm excited to see what's transpired for her in her journey. She's had some crazy transformations in her career, in her marriage, and just in her relationship with herself. So I'm really excited for you to share your story today. But before we dive into all of that, can you tell our listeners just a bit about you and the recent promotion? Super exciting.
Yes. So Shannon, thank you so much for allowing me to do this. When you asked me to, I was super excited because everything, like this adventure that we had together just inspired so much. So I'm so happy to be chatting with you. So a little bit about me. My name's Melanie, and I am a recent store director. I'm a mentor, I'm a talent recruiter, I'm a dog mom, I'm a wife. And so my recent promotions as store director, I was the operations manager when we started. And I was kind of in a fog, if you want to call it that. But I was kind of just looking for direction. So working with you, and as time, went on, I got this position, and this actually is a new position, about 2 weeks old. But it was actually one of the goals that I wanted to work on with you. So
that's why I was like, yes.
Yes. So I'm so stoked, and it still is like, oh my gosh, it's my store. Like, I'm here, I made it. So, that's me, I guess, in a nutshell.
It's so cool when you sent me that text, and I was so excited. I think I sent my Oprah gif. I was like, hey, I love that gif.
Yes, you did. And at the moment I got the news, you were on my top 3 list. It was like text.
I
Super
love
excited
it.
to share that with you. Yeah.
So cool and so inspiring, because I know that was one of the big goals that you were working on, and so it just really symbolized a lot. And like I said, there were just so many transformations that I witnessed in our work together, and so that's why I'm so excited for you to be here today to share that inspiration with the group today. And I really think that a lot of people are going to be inspired by your story. So can you take us back to the beginning of your story? For our listeners who don't know, where you were at in your life before we began working together, and then just kind of the transformations that you started to see happening during our work together.
Okay. So, gosh, this was back in March, I think, possibly around the time.
Yeah. It was a long time. It feels like years ago.
I know, right? What the heck? Where'd the time go? And I needed some clarity. I was kind of feeling, like I mentioned earlier, a little stuck. I didn't know the direction I wanted to go or what I was capable of achieving. And I kind of was searching for, career coaching or something to, life coaching, career coaching. I just needed guidance, and how do I find my purpose? Or it was just a whole lot of just trying to figure things out. I was in the operations position, and COVID happened and closure, and a lot of the world just changed. And I think when we met, we connected instantly. We had a great conversation, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think this could be somebody that I can really share ideas with and bounce back any issues I have with my current position, because I thought that was going to be the role that I was going to be in, and I was going to work through it, or I didn't know what direction I was going. So just trying to find clarity. So starting to work with you, I think it got a little bit more clear from that first homework assignment that you gave me.
The billions of assignments that I gave you. Maybe 40 assignments.
And you know what? I appreciate every single one of them, because I went in with the mindset that I just want career coaching. That's all I need. I have all this stuff going on, and was not paying attention to anything else, because I thought that's all I needed. But little did I know, with that assignment that you gave me, it was just eye-opening of how much I didn't really know like I knew myself, but like really writing like what my goals were. What did I want to achieve as a woman and as a wife and as a leader, and just kind of writing it down, putting pen to paper. It was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm learning so much about myself, and this is like the first homework assignment. And I knew instantly, like after that assignment, I don't remember if I text you. I mean, I've texted you so many times, but I remember not feel like I know I needed more time on that one assignment, because it just made me think and dig deep, and I had to ask for clarification on things several times, but it gave me that clarity. So I think that was like that starting point of like, oh, okay, like this is gonna be a lot deeper than career. So that's kind of, and then I had other stuff, that was more work based, but I had other things going on in my life. I had, marriage, we were kind of just having some difficulties, and it just all kind of, mixed in together with just trying to get clarification on my needs, our needs, present day, and what the future is going to look like. So that was my roadmap. That was where the start happened. And then and we just kind of went on this, great adventure. So
it was a fun adventure. And it's so true. I felt like when we first started working together, I mean, I bet you didn't think we would be working together, beyond coaching. And I'm like, by the way, Melanie, I want you to be one of the coaches on my team.
Oh, I was so excited when you said that. I was like, I could totally work with you, under you, whatever. You're like my mentor. Like I'm psyched. I'm psyched for the next adventure.
Yeah. Well, I just, I was just so blown away by your commitment, and that's all as a coach you can ever really ask for from your clients. It's just that true desire for change, but the commitment to make it happen, because you can sit there all day and give people tools and talk about, knowledge and information, but if they're not going to use it, it really isn't going to have as much of an impact as, it's not as powerful. So I saw that right away. I saw that you were just so dedicated to it, and you took the responsibility right away. And I was just like, wow, like I'm excited to see what unfolds for her. Because when I see that right away, especially with just in the first session, I know there's going to be some major changes happening. And proof in the pudding, you just got your promotion, which is what, one of your big goals. So so I just knew right away, I'm like, this is somebody I definitely could work with. So
I wanted to be a good student. I knew that I wanted, and then, it wasn't trying to like impress you, because like, you're my coach. You're going to be real with me. You're going to be like, hey, you're going to call me on my stuff. And it was, yes, I wanted to make sure that I had my stuff done before we had our next session. But for me, like I needed to be accountable and learn about myself. And if I had questions, like I was always like, I don't know if I understand how to answer this, and we would work through it. So I mean, it was, ultimately for me, but you helped, you pushed me out of the nest, and I had to I'm just kind of there to make sure. I'm like, okay, what's going on over there? How are you doing over there? Totally. So I'm glad you mentioned like about, when you first started, I know you really were just focused on that career coaching. That was the, focus of our work together. And I think by the end of just that first session, you were like, hold on, wait a minute. Because I think I remember you were like, I'm going to try out a session and see how it goes. And then by the end of that session, I think you had committed to doing the whole program. So like what shifted for you? What really changed in you within that session where you were just like, I need to do this whole program? Again, I think that first assignment, it took us 2 days to kind of go through, and it was just like, what are your goals in life? What roles do you play? And, it had questions that I never really thought about before, but I guess I had an idea of what it was. I just never wrote it down. I didn't journal it. I didn't, I wasn't really even journaling consistently at that point. And it made me realize needed to invest more in myself and understanding myself to be that better leader that ultimately I wanted to be a store director, to be, eventually a district manager, eventually, all the goals that, 5, 10, however many years down the line. Like I had to know more about myself and how I worked. And I guess I just wanted to jump into like, I want the next role, but not really knowing like where my strengths and weaknesses are. What are my opportunities that I need to work on? And because I thought that I had it all down, and I didn't have it all down. And it was just like, I need, and this is good for me. So it was that first and second session that I was like, okay, we got to keep doing this. This is good.
I love that so much that you said that, like, because I think there's so many things that we want, and we are frustrated that we don't have it yet. But sometimes I think we fail to look at the person in the mirror and see like, okay, what am I doing that's blocking myself, right? Or like, how am I contributing to this reality that I've created for myself, and how can I stop and like start to create what I really want, So that's definitely, I feel like, such a crucial part of the process is just understanding yourself, and which is why I'm always like, fall in love with yourself first and foremost. Make sure you love yourself, get to know yourself, because that, I think it just becomes this ripple effect in all the other areas of your life.
Absolutely. It's with you. I mean, you are that energy that, you give off to the world. And, if you're positive and happy and, you attract what you give out.
Right.
And, we learned that a little in some of the sessions as well. And, it's falling in love with yourself. You got to be good with yourself, because then how are other people going to be good with you?
Right. Exactly. Yep. You teach people how to treat you. Based on how you treat yourself. So, so true. So what were some, because I feel like, in this journey of doing the work on yourself and just getting to know yourself more, did you have any moments of like, just like light bulbs going off, or any breakthroughs in your mind of like, oh my gosh, like, was there anything that kind of sticks out to you, and just during our time together where something just really touched you and it really kind of just opened up your awareness?
There's a lot of light bulbs.
I'm sure.
So I'm always trying to think about this. And I think one that stands out that still kind of makes me laugh a little is, I think at the time I was binge watching too much like Netflix. It was Downtown Abbey. So it's a good show. So
go watch Downtown Abbey, but with the warning, make sure you don't binge it like Melanie does. Okay.
And so I just too much binge watching. And I know that we talked about like, because at that point in time when the light bulb went off, it was kind of already halfway through, and I just noticed that it was taking too much of my time and not letting me accomplish the other stuff that I needed to accomplish. And I know that, I love like my little shows, it relaxes me and whatnot. And I know that I think one of the homework assignments was I needed to, I think it was like do my reading or take care of the things that I needed to take care of, and then, plug in that show. That'll be your treats or whatever.
Right. That's your reward.
Like, okay, we can do this. And then I immediately noticed that, I thought I was so busy and getting all this stuff done. And then I took out the binge watching on my Netflix shows, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can get so much more stuff done. And like, I was not as busy as I thought I was. And I just kind of was like, like this is taking up so much time that's not good for me. It's not helping me grow. I'm not, achieving the goals or, meeting the deadlines of things that I needed. So, taking that out and using it as a treat instead of something like just I do on the regular basis. Made me realize like, okay, I need to really evaluate like the things that I'm doing, what's good for me, what's allowing me to grow, and what's taking time for me. And granted, like it's okay to watch a show and treat yourself to, little movie watching and stuff, but it's going to make you successful. Is it going to allow you to, prepare for, your next interview or your next meeting, of, your connections or whatever it may be? Is it and it's not. It's taking time from you that you invest in yourself and you know, be better at whatever goal it is that you set.
Yeah, I love that so much because this is such a common thing, you know, like you are not the only person that, you know, watches tons of TV at night or, you know, scrolls on the phone for like 3 hours and then looks up and is like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Or video games, like we all have our guilty devices, right? And so I think this is a perfect example. I'm always preaching about pain versus pleasure, and people are half the time probably like, what is she talking about? But it's literally this, like there was more pleasure attached to you watching Netflix than not watching it. And I think what happened is you started to attach more pain to watching Netflix because you realize that like by watching more Netflix, you're taking away time from the goals that you're setting for yourself. And I think when you started to, you know, realize that and also get more pleasure attached to the results you were seeing by working towards your goals and like networking on LinkedIn and doing all of those things and doing your reading, it's like, wait a minute, this is actually probably more fulfilling than just sitting there, which it is, by the way. The studies show you are actually, people think they would be more happy watching Netflix than being at work. You're actually more fulfilled when you're doing something meaningful and challenging than when you're sitting in front of a TV for 2 or 3 hours. Just a heads up, y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. I can attest to that.
But it's the opposite of what we think, right? We think, oh, I'd rather just, which I'm, you know, I'm guilty of this myself. I would love to just sit there and watch movies all day, but it's like, how good do you feel about yourself if you've done that all day? You know, like it's not it's not productive.
When I started doing it, like I felt so much more accomplished. Like I met some people on LinkedIn. I was getting advice. I was finishing books. I mean, it was just crazy, like how much better I felt accomplishing the things that, you know, doing my homework, of course, but accomplishing all, you know, accomplishing all my things that I needed to take care of. It just felt like I was moving along. So. Yeah,
and I think it just becomes a habit. You know, you're replacing that habit with something else that's productive. And then I think when you don't get to do that, you're like, wait a minute, oh man, like, you know, you have so much more pleasure attached to doing the actions that you're taking for your goals. So
absolutely,
that's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I use your example a lot, by the way, with, you know, and I tell people, especially people who are like, oh man, you know, because it kind of ends up being this cycle, right? Of like, if you stay up too late watching TV, then you're not going to wake up on time in the morning to do your morning routine, or, you know, you're going to feel tired and then you don't get your workout in. It's just like kind of a domino effect, right? And so I actually was telling one of my clients about your scenario because I was like, well, she flipped it to where she made it more of a reward. And then that way it's like, oh, well, if I get some of this done, I can do it for like maybe 30 minutes and then go to bed versus like 4 hours of Netflix. And then everything is just thrown out the window at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And it just, again, and you're speaking of morning routines, which is like a whole like other subject, but I mean, if it messes with my morning routine, like I'm not a happy camper. Like I'm so like, my morning routine is everything to me.
Okay, so Melanie's morning routine is #goals, just so you guys know. She wakes up at 4:30. Is it 4:30 in the morning or 4:15? 4 a.m. Okay, 4 a.m. She is up. Okay, so I don't want to hear anybody's excuses about not being able to do their morning routine. No, I'm joking. So what's your... I'm trying to shame people right now. I'm like, you need to do your morning routine.
You can wake up at 3. Kidding.
Right. Step your game up, people. So what do you do? Like, what is something that you've done to stay consistent with that? Because I know for a fact that this is a major struggle for people, is consistently waking up on time to do their morning routine. How have you been able to stay consistent with yours?
Honestly, like my phone is like everything. Like it has my alerts. I know that me and you work through trying to like figure out a what was it, like habit tracker and stuff like that. And you came up with like, I mean, I didn't even think of it. I don't know why, but the reminders on iPhone, like I do everything on iPhone. and now I live by reminders. Like the reminders are set to every single day on what I need to do. Like I do my meditation. I do my personal prayer. I do my journaling, and then I do my 10 pages of my books. And that's after I exercise. So when I started the program, I was dabbling in things, but I wasn't really consistent, and I didn't have my like consistency like buddy to hold me accountable to. So like I would do my morning routine and not do my morning routine, and the reminders and the alerts, that's really helped. And definitely, I wake up at 4 a.m. Like for me, that's just a good hour for me. It's quiet, it's my me time. I get to knock out things that I want to take care of. I get my workout in, because workouts just help me feel great, even though I don't want to work out some days or run, or maybe after I'm done, I feel amazing, and then I'm ready to like journal. And sometimes the journalings are short, sometimes they're long, just depends on my mood, but I have to get it in. Like I at least have to do my gratitude in my journal. Even if it's just my 3 gratitudes listed and that's all I journal, that's okay for me. And then reading, and I have my alerts in the morning I think it's set to every 15 minutes, like after 6 a.m. So it says, did you get your 10 pages in? Did you do your meditation? Did you do your reading?
I love that.
So it just reminds me, and it kind of holds me accountable. And so I just check them off as I'm doing them. And I'll let them go all day if I don't get it done. Like if it's still at lunchtime, like still alerting me, I'll read at lunch.
I love that. Yeah.
So the reminders for me worked. Some people use other applications, which is great, but that helped me out.
Yeah, I know, it's so funny. It's like, it's on your phone, just use it. It's free if you have an iPhone. And it's just like, I mean, because I was exploring different apps as well. And what I found is it's essentially the same thing you can do in reminders for yourself, if you just get savvy with it and put them in. And I love that if you don't do it at 8 a.m., it's like, hello, like it's going to get done at some point in the day.
Like let's get it together.
You're going to do this. Yeah. And so what do you have any internal dialogue or something you say to yourself if you wake up and you're just like, no, I don't want to get up right now? Like, what do you do to combat that?
Oh, wow. I mean, there are days, all of us have those days.
We all have those days. Yes.
And I don't know. I think now I feel worse if I don't get up. Initially it was a lot harder, and I would hit the snooze button all the time. And then I had to kind of like, I guess I do have like a little mantra that I use is like, I'm putting a snooze on my life right now. Like you're ready to hit the snooze button on my life.
I love that. That's so good.
I have to be creative with the little sayings I say to myself, but
that's great. I love that.
And if it works for anyone else, take it. It's yours. But I don't want to put a snooze button on my life anymore. And so when it goes off, it's rare. I think maybe yesterday I might have hit the snooze button, but I had just come back from vacation and I was trying to get my right for this week. Right. But I hadn't hit the snooze button in like months. Like that alarm goes off and it's like, okay, time to get up. And I pop up and I'll yawn and get out of bed and do my little thing to get ready for the gym. And so I guess that's mentally like what I say to myself, and I just
that's great.
So
that's awesome. I love that so much. And again, it's just, I think, coming down to that pain versus pleasure again, because I think that you get to a certain point where you have more pain associated with not getting up and like not doing all of that fabulous stuff that you say you do during your morning routine. And that is going to affect how you feel, because when you start doing your morning routine and you don't do it one day, you feel the difference. You're like, oh man.
Absolutely. Like I feel like just not myself. Like I feel like I didn't accomplish something, and my whole day is just kind of wonky. Yeah. And I know that it's going to be a more challenging day if I don't do what I love to do. And again, now it's just like my ritual. And if you throw me off, it just kind of throws off everything. So yes,
Right.
you feel it. And I know at the beginning, it's going to be a little rough. But if you do it every single day, like it just becomes part of your life. Like
Right.
drinking water, like you need water every day.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
for me, that's what it comes down to. Like it's just part of my life now.
Yeah, and that's the goal. And that's what this is all about. Like, I want everybody to leave this program with lifelong habits, not something that's just going to fall off after, it's like these are things that are instilled with you for life. And you just continue to add to it and just continue to, learn and improve yourself. So it's a lifelong journey. So
Amen. Yes.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to make sure we got that in because I know the morning routine is its struggle. So, and I was like, oh my gosh, Melanie is killing it with her morning routine. So glad you were able to share some of those tips. So going into a different area of your life, we kind of touched a little bit on your marriage. And I know when we started, you were kind of on the fence. There was definitely some questions there and you weren't really sure what you wanted to do. And you ultimately came to the decision to stay and make it work. So what was that journey like for you, coming into clarity on making that decision that I'm going to make this marriage work? And how have you continued to strengthen it since you made that decision?
Well, that was a tough one. That was my biggest challenge of 2020.
Yeah.
And I think right around the time, we had just started talking, and working together, and it was just kind of like, just kind of assessing like what's going on in my life. What do I need in my life? And again, that roadmap just kind of opened my eyes, because I think on one of those questions, it just asked like, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? The essential goals. And I know that one of them was like, you know what? Like I need to think of what I need for myself. Mm-hmm. There's still a we. There's a me, and I need to know what's important to me. And just trying to figure out what ultimately I wanted to do with working with you. And I know being financially self-sufficient, if I ever needed to be,
absolutely.
wanted to do, was to be able to say, today, if I needed to take care of myself and, pay my bills and everything, and it was just me, for whatever reason it may be, that was my goal. Like I wanted to achieve that in my life. And, so that was, part of wanting to work with you. And that was kind of like in the back burner, and being, because I was still just trying to figure out what we were going to do together.
Yeah.
And I know that I had asked your opinion, and we were just kind of sharing, like I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like it was still up in the air, and you're like, well, do the pros and cons list. And, you kind of just suggested some different things that, had worked in the past. I don't know if it was for a client or what, but we were just sharing.
Oh, I do those all the time for myself.
Yeah. It was probably something that you just, and I to do it. And it was just kind of, I had to see, the willingness, because the willingness to grow myself and to be better and to the willingness to search for somebody to help me, it was there. Like I knew that I wanted to become a better person, better woman, better daughter, better friend, better leader. And it was the willingness to be a better wife, was the willingness to work with my husband and kind of repair, the damage that was done. And, and the answer was yes. Ultimately was, we're all human, and, we make mistakes, and, sometimes some mistakes are not worth forgiving, and you have to be the judge, of what you're willing to tolerate in your life. And I was willing to forgive. And, we're, obviously it takes two to tango. So it's like, I'm not claiming to be a saint. I've made mistakes, and, we make mistakes. We're all human. But it was like, okay, it just had to get to that moment of am I willing to work on this?
Right.
And the answer was yes. So we just kept working through it and communicating and figuring out each other and learning a different part of us. So so the communication is definitely elevated. I know that, I think, you knew we had marriage counseling, so we were investment upon investment on myself and on us. And
absolutely,
we learned a lot about each other and how to communicate with each other. And I mean, if to anybody that's struggling with, relationships, the key factor is really be open to communication and really try not to judge other people's feelings or thoughts. And like, if you love that person, hear them out and try to understand them. And it can be a journey. So, but again, everybody's different. Every situation's different. So for us, we were able to kind of get past that and continue to grow, because we're still learning each other, still growing. So
it's a lifelong journey. I mean, all of it is, and if you're not working on, growing it, it's dying, right? And so I think even when things are good, that's when you have to even try even harder, not just when things are bad too. It's like, it's a continuous effort of, putting the work into it. And I love that you said understanding and not judging, and forgiving, because I think that those are so essential. It's like, it's really hard if you're not wanting to listen and just understand the person, and that's really what's going to connect you more so than judging and holding resentment. So that's beautiful. And thank you for sharing that. I know that I remember one session that we did together. I think it was one of the modules of falling in love with yourself, and I remember we were going through, like, I can't remember exactly what it was. Maybe you remember, but I remember you like breaking down crying during that session. I was like, oh my gosh, like what did I say, or what's happening? And I just, like, I'm just so happy for the transformation that, like, from that to this, like, it's just so beautiful to see that. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. Because I know that there's so many people who are, they're in that situation now where you were at, and they're facing that crossroads of, like, am I going to stay and make this work, or am I going to leave, and so it's great to hear your story and how you were able to come out of that.
Yeah. And I, if I can add, I think a lot of, like, what we did together too is, like, again, like, one of the modules that you have in the program was, to love yourself, and just, like, you have to be okay with yourself and your goals. You genuinely have to be open to understanding yourself. People probably say it all the time, you got to love yourself first before you can love anybody else. But with the program, you really do learn to love yourself, and you do dissect maybe parts that you didn't think about. And I think that builds up my confidence in myself and the value of myself. And I also got to the point where I was okay with, if it worked, beautiful. It great. We have years to be together. And if it didn't work, I was at the point where it was okay too. Like, genuinely would want him to be happy and live a healthy and wonderful life. And I knew I was focused on this and growing and leading a happy and wonderful life. And I wasn't at that point before we started working together. I think it was catastrophizing. Like, if we didn't work out, like, oh my gosh. But we got to that, so I think loving yourself is very important, and knowing your goals is very important, because they're your goals. They, your husband or partner have their goals, but you need to know yours and value your own. So
yes, that is pretty much essentially, in a nutshell, what falling in love with yourself is all about, is really understanding. And I think when you were talking about it, and made me remember the part, I think it was when I was talking about knowing that you already have everything within you that you need. And I think that is such a big thing to digest, especially if you are coming from the mindset of, I need this person to feel complete, I need this person to feel happy. And so when you can really start to acknowledge that I'm enough, like, I have all the love that I need within me, like, I have all the resources within me to make a 6-figure income, like be the best version of myself, be my own superhero, like that's very empowering when you can actually start to really live it and not just, like you were saying, not just say it, but really understand it and live it. And so that is, that's what it's all about. I'm like, that's the goal right there.
Yes.
So, I love that. So speaking of self-empowerment, our signature phrase became, what would JLo do? And I love it so much.
Yes.
Which is the title of this live, What Would JLo Do? Because we're talking about, just overcoming self-doubt and, maybe past failures or past rejections. And how did you ultimately overcome that self-doubt you were experiencing in the beginning to shift into like really just, embodying your inner JLo, really becoming this like empowered leader that you are now at your store?
Wow. Yes, that is, and I mentioned it right before our call, like that is still something that I can be in my office now and just like, if I'm nervous about something or I'm doubting something, like I'll just say it in my head and it'll make me laugh because it's like, we were laughing when you said it. And, I remember that session and, I just, the confidence, it makes me feel like, what would JLo do if you think about it? Like, what would she do? Because she is a boss and she is a strong, powerful woman that knows her stuff. So getting into that mental, that mindset of like, I am strong. I am, I'm powerful. I'm a strong woman. Like, getting in, like putting myself in that position of like that confidence, exude confidence. Like, how would she stand? How would she look?
Right.
How would she walk into the room? Like, it was just like a mental state.
Yeah.
So that phrase is definitely something that I'll, again, I kind of throw it, out every once in a while to myself.
Yeah.
Just like get myself into that mental state of like that confident woman and, and not to catastrophize a situation because I tend to do that. And, it's not, the world's not going to end if you, if you don't necessarily hit that sales goal or, the floor is not perfect or maybe, whatever situation is going on in my life. If it doesn't work out, okay, great. What would JLo do?
Right.
It's not the end of the world, Is it worth crying over? She wouldn't cry. I can't even picture JLo crying. Like, like you just kind of be like, okay, it didn't work out. On to the next opportunity. Like what? Okay, what can I do different next time? What? Maybe it's not the right fit for me. Or it's not the right timing. Maybe I need 2 more weeks of training or another month of training, whatever it may be. And just realizing that I'm going to be okay. Like shake it off. You got to be confident and you just got to believe in yourself and try again or try a different route or try a different time or try different, people that are interviewing or whatever it may be, try a different company, meet a different person, and just continue on because life's not going to end and, be confident in the world and try something new.
Yeah, I think, it's a part of the journey, right? It's just a part of the journey. And so I think I love, what would JLo do? Because it's also like, and everybody's going to have their different person that, they look up to. And sometimes, you don't feel confident, like maybe saying a positive affirmation isn't doing it. And so sometimes you got to fake it until you make it. And you really need to embody somebody that, like for me, it's Oprah. It's like, what would Oprah do? So it's like, let me be the like most Oprah-esque I can be right now in this situation because I am completely doubting myself. But like just pretending I'm Oprah helps it just, it's like you fake it until you make it. And so I think physically changing your body, embodying that can really just help to just boom, it's like, nope, not doing it today. Like we're not sabotaging ourselves.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy what a little thing, like just kind of putting yourself in that person's shoes could do for you. Like it
definitely
it could change your your day and the whole interaction of whatever's going on in your life, like an interview or whatever it may be. So
exactly,
it's very useful tool. It's a very useful
tool. I love that so much. So like with, you know, really shifting into this self, you know, increasing your self-confidence and just really acknowledging that you're worthy of what you want. Like, what were there any strategies that come to your mind? Because I know we went through like a ton of them, but is there anything besides what would JLO do? Was there anything that like you still use today to really just remind yourself that, hey, like I got this, like, and I want this and I'm going to make it happen. I deserve to have that.
Any other strategies? So, I mean, right before I, you know, talking with my boss or, you know, because I have a mirror in my office now, little mirror.
Nice.
So usually because I myself and telling myself, like looking at myself, I know it was uncomfortable for me on one of my homework assignments. I thought it was odd.
Doing the mirror exercise
and just telling myself like, you got this, you can do it, it'll be okay. Or just even rehearsing like how I'm speaking and just kind of watching myself, like my hand gestures and but using the mirror, like it can definitely, you know, boost your confidence because you're pumping yourself up right before something very nerve-wracking, and you're also, you know, you're gonna stand with confidence and hold your head up and make sure you smile as you speak. And so the mirror exercise definitely was something I had to get used to, and maybe I've kind of tailored it my own way, but I definitely
I love that.
And
I love that.
And what else do I do? It's like right on the tip of my tongue. I know that we did a little bit of the NLP and just kind of practicing going into that. It was the negative mindset and then going into the positive mindset so that you can, like when you're in a nervous situation, you can go into that moment of like positive and happiness.
Yeah, just being able to switch your state, like managing your state within like seconds. Yeah.
I struggled with that one. I know that we did that a couple of times and I was just like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know how to do it. And finally being able to get it, like I I've caught myself a few times and it's something silly, but just a certain way that I sit and I have my little hands like clasped like this. And I usually sit both feet on the ground. Normally I don't cross my legs like some people would, and I usually sit upright, and I don't know why that triggers me to just be like, okay, this conversation is going to be real right now. And I don't know, it just switch it, because that connection of just being able to switch from like nervous, scared into instant, like, you got this, like, I was going to say cuss word. I'm not going to say cuss word on Facebook Live. You're a bad woman. You're a bad woman. And you got this. Yeah. So that definitely was, my little practice there of just being able to switch back and forth from different thoughts and power poses. I'm addicted to the power poses because it just, if you're slouching all day, and sometimes I slouch if I'm on the computer or whatnot, and just being able to like stand up straight, make yourself big, and just feel confident. It builds that confidence. So I mean, it really does. Probably more that I can't think of right now, but those are just I mean, there's so many, but that's why I'm like, no worries, you can't name off like all of them. There was a ton of them in there. Those physical changes are really huge. As simple as it sounds to just sit up straight, there is literally a way to physically be when you feel down and depressed and anxious, right? Versus when you're really like feeling confident. And I love that you said you're using the mirror and you tailored it. So for the listeners out there, the mirror exercise is something you do to really build self-love. It's kind of like another alternate to positive affirmations. It's where you're looking in the mirror, you're looking at yourself and you're accepting everything that you perceive as flaws, everything that you usually pick apart about yourself, and you want to try to like accept it but build yourself up. So I love that you're using it as this like, cheerleader, like, you got this, like, yes, like, I love that. That's so awesome.
You're like your own like coach in the mirror, like pumping yourself up, like, yeah, let's do
girl,
this.
you have to. Sometimes you need that coach to help you out.
Definitely. So speaking of coaching, I know we talked about several different career paths for you during our work together, and you ultimately ended up landing on career coaching as something you want to pursue. So how did you land on that, on career coaching, and what can we expect to see next with the career coaching? Is there something that you're currently working on? So tell us a little bit about that.
So we kind of dabbled with, again, that goes back to that first goal that I had in mind, that stayed as my number one goal, was to be financially self-sufficient.
Yes.
And so I know that we were kind of dabbling with different opportunities and different passions of mine. And again, it's self-discovery. Like, it was just kind of working through the different things that I thought I wanted to do, or what I thought was feasible to help me get to my goal. And I know that it was a little bit of fitness, but that was more of my playtime, my me time stuff. So, dealing with animals was also another thing. And it was just a lot of stuff. Like, again, I think it was because of the self-discovery that it was just like, I want to do everything. Let's just think of all the things that make me happy inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
And who knows? Along the line, maybe something of one of those things can happen. But for me, it just kept coming down to what I do now. And I've been called a mentor. I feel like a mentor, and I've been a mentee. But that's something that drives me on a regular basis. I love helping people succeed. I can't really, wouldn't never say like just men or women, but I love helping people succeed. And, if I can help another woman out, then fabulous.
Yeah.
And, but it just kept coming back to that, of just wanting to lead an individual to find where their strengths and weaknesses are. And, I do that on a regular basis in my current role. My previous roles with the company that I'm in now, and it just felt right, because I know like what you were able to do for me. Like, I could ultimately would want to do that for other people. I want the light bulbs to go off. I want to be able to help somebody discover something about themselves, for their light bulb to go off. It came down to, I could do the career coaching. Like, I love ambitious people and business, and just kind of getting you ready for interviews, or working on what kind of outfitting, or where to meet, and meeting for coffees or whatever it may be. Like, I want to prepare somebody in their journey of a career or a new adventure they want to take on. And so I think that for me is where I'm currently in. And I know that a lot of great big things have happened since after we stopped working together. So that's still kind of been in the works of me trying to do my own career coaching, and trying to fine tune that so that hopefully we could partner along the line, and kind of work on each other, and have our our focuses or a niche. And so that's in the works right now, and trying to get what that would look like as like an entry level career coaching, and doing my own sessions and working with people and helping people. And I think ultimately, like, that's been my happiness. Even talking about it is just like, I'm going to be doing that. Like, I know it is, because I have my goals, and I know what my future is going to look like, and I know that that's going to be something that's going to be exciting. And so.
And I feel like that's how you've landed on it, when you're talking about it, and it just lights you up, and you can feel a state change. You feel yourself just like getting so excited and motivated and inspired. It's like, this is the sweet spot. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think it complements what I do so well, because you really genuinely love the interview process. And I'm like, go ahead and take that, Melanie. You go ahead and help.
You got this, girl.
You go ahead and take that. Yeah. And so I love that it just complements it so well, because I'm more like overall purpose, like what is your life about? And
Yeah.
I feel like you are more so excited by the process of getting the nitty gritty of like the job search and like the interview process. And so that's why I'm so excited to bring you on my team. And sidebar, guys, next week I'm going to be launching my webinar, my first live webinar in this group for the course. So that's what Melanie is going to be helping me on my team to be a one-on-one coach that's available if somebody purchases the course and also wants to get one-on-one coaching in conjunction with the course. So that's what I mean by her being on my team. If some of you are like, what are you talking about? Next week, I will be going into more details about that actual course in this group. You will be the first to get the webinar and the explanation of all of that. So stay tuned for that. Super exciting. Melanie knows the journey of coming, to launching this course. It's just been a process.
It's a process, girl.
And anybody in the group who has launched a virtual course, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's a lot of work. But I'm really excited to just see how your journey continues to unfold with all of that, because it's really comes down to two things. It's a desire and a commitment to making a change. And you have that, and you have just made so many transformations just from the time that we started working together. So I can't even imagine what else you're going to, do beyond this. It's just really exciting. So
exciting. Super exciting.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to women who are maybe second guessing their abilities to get their dream job? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say to them, you find out where your passion is.
Yeah.
You have to know where your passion is. If you're in a place that maybe you're not happy with, it's not going to be good for your soul. Like it's going to just be that drag, that cloud over your head when you go to work. So you need to figure out if that's a change that you need to make, and try to figure out the options for yourself. What do you want to do? What's going to make you happy? And we're all human. Like, we need to have a sustainable living. So do your research and figure out, is this something that I can do on the side, or is this something that I can make a career out of, I'll be able to take care of myself and pay my bills and pay my rent, all that good stuff. So you're gonna have to do research. What are the options? And I know that we took the career test to find out the jobs for my personality. And I did my research, and there's career personality tests out there, and find what works well with your personality. And work off of that, and see, have your passion lists and have the jobs that go with your personality list, because they might not work well, they might not work together, or they don't match, or whatever it may be. And just, kind of look into what, your options, and don't be afraid to make the changes, because, if you're goal oriented, if you're determined and you're willing to grow yourself, and make the necessary changes and partner with you, to kind of get that clarity, that, get out of the fog, you can get there. They're going to take you, and you have to be committed to yourself, be committed to the program, because it'll get you there. You're gonna learn so much about yourself that what you thought was your passion might not be your passion. It's gonna get you there, but you got to be committed to yourself and committed to the program. You deserve it, because you can live the life that you want to live. You can. You just gotta be willing to take the necessary steps to change, or to alter the things that you might be getting in your way of, kind of achieve the goals that you want. So follow your dreams and dream big. You can have anything that you want. Dream big, make it a big dream, and make the roadmap to get there.
And if all else fails, just ask yourself, what would JLo do? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes! What would JLo do?
Couldn't end without adding that in there.
Right.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much for joining and coming on and just sharing your journey. I know so many people are going to be inspired by this. So thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it. And stay tuned, guys. Next week, I'm going to be explaining all of the madness, what I'm talking about with the course, so you can know what's going on, and then how Melanie will be, in this mix as a coach and available to help you in the future. So definitely comment below with your takeaways on this. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation today. I know I did, so.